welcome to the 33rd KBMP meeting. My name is Randy Turner. I'm the coordinator of the Klamath Basin Monitoring Program, and I want to thank everyone for being here. I hope you're all going to be good listeners today. We've got some great presentations, some really important things to talk about, and I want this to be kind of a primer for learning a lot today for our discussions that will happen tomorrow. So I think that'll be really, it's good that we're having this meeting right before the dam removal workshop tomorrow. I want to start and say thank you to Chaya Warner from Southern Oregon University for getting a grant to help pay for the room. So thank you. And also want to thank Dylan and Rez for providing some refreshments that will come later and lunch today. So really appreciate that. And now my slide advancer isn't working. It was earlier, I swear. Got to be kidding me. Plug in. Yep. If it would work. There we go. Okay. I'm not sure who's been on the who's been paying attention or who has been living in a cave since last night. Regardless of your political views, this is a time of change, and some people, may want for things not to be the way they are, but can't really control that. So, I want us to focus on what we're going to be doing today. So I just, doing a little breathing exercise just to start off, I think is really is needed for me, maybe for you. But I figured a pause is probably a good thing. So, all right. For folks, anyone, can I get a show of hands for folks who haven't been to a KBMP meeting before? Okay, so quite a few. Well, we are an organization that was formed in 2008 to help address kind of a scattershot approach to water quality, where a lot of organizations and agencies and tribes were doing water quality monitoring on their own and not really working together. And so KBMP was meant to help get people to collaborate to find kind of common water quality control, so people can trust other groups' data and promote sharing of data, sharing of information, and just collaboration and cooperation in general. And I think it's been wildly successful in many ways. There's always challenges with cooperation and collaboration, of course, but we've really come so far in the Klamath to being able to collect the data, have that data be useful for purposes related to regulatory actions, dam removal, and so many other things. So it's really been, I think, very valuable for the Klamath, and I'm just very thankful for everyone who's been involved in helping shape our rules and building this collaborative network. We are really not doing data collection ourselves as KBMP. It is really the organizations, our stakeholders, who are doing that data collection. So I want to thank them for that. We have a steering committee that helps guide our projects and our actions. And we've gotten funding in recent years from Caltrans, and we are anticipating funding from Fish and Wildlife Service moving forward, at least in the short term. So I want to thank both those organizations for helping support this effort. Water quality coordination is a huge thing, but in a lot of ways, our ability to share data and information, I think, is one of the really key things that is probably most visible to folks who aren't really getting deep into the weeds in KBMP. So, the meetings we have twice a year are the most visible, but our website it's just a clearinghouse of information related to everything you're probably dealing with. A quick plug, if you have reports or data that you don't think is on the KBMP website, please email me, call me. Let's get it up there. I want to share your information that's shareable. We put together a monitoring location map recently showing metadata for water quality monitoring sites and fisheries and hydrology and so much else. So we have that recently updated, but if we didn't get your information, I still want it. And this is metadata, not necessarily the data itself. So, where's the station located? What are you capturing, monitoring wise? When are you doing it? Those types of things. And it really helps from a coordination and collaboration perspective to know what's happening where and who you can request data from. And we just in general, we want to be a resource for not only the KBMP members, but all organizations working in the Klamath. So we have 13 different presentations today, not including mine. Covering a variety of topics. Technically, I want to categorize things as dam removal, even though they're water quality. A lot of things are water quality related. And even if on my website, when I'm posting these, they don't necessarily say water quality in how we organize them, but everything is really connected. Regardless of what you're working on, it probably connects back to water quality. So we'll have some great talks today, and then we'll have a mini update session like we almost always do, where we'll have program leads and managers give a very brief update of what's new, what's happening in their neck of the woods. On the back of your agenda is kind of our meeting guidelines. Just real briefly, think of them as kind of kindergarten rules. So if you be respectful, you're probably following the rules. Just want to highlight that if we can. We'll have a meeting evaluation form we'll send out to everyone. If you are new to KBMP or didn't sign up, just make sure you signed in at the front table, and we'll get your email. That way you can get that information, and we always appreciate feedback. I mentioned the lunch today provided by Rez. We'll post PDFs of the slides to our website where it's not provisional data and we're not really allowed to post it. We'll get recording of the talks up soon. And we want you to network. This is a great opportunity to see people you don't normally see outside of your own silo. So take the time at breaks, afterwards, go get a beer tonight together, that type of thing. Talk with people, learn, cooperate, collaborate. We have a dinner plan tonight at the Noble Fox. It's obviously optional. It's somewhat limited seating. I think they hold about 30 upstairs. Can we get a show of hands to see where we are? Anyone interested in going to the dinner tonight? It's not free. You have to pay yourself. Okay. All right. So I think we're good. And we want to welcome you. There's seating downstairs if we get to the overflow portion, but it's just good to, again, continue these conversations. I mentioned the workshop tomorrow for dam removal science collaboration and restoration on Friday. So really excited about those. I often start with the climate change point because we need to think about that big picture. I'm just going to briefly skip over this and say, things continue to be unprecedented, and they probably will continue to be unprecedented moving forward. In general, the weather that we've seen in the last year hasn't been that bad relative to a lot of the rest of the Northern Hemisphere and world. So we're lucky, but we may not be lucky forever. Dam removal is probably the thing that has captured our attention most in the last, few years. Really amazing what has been accomplished so far. We've got these reports of salmon making it upstream within the hydroelectric reach and upstream of that even. So, it's just such great news, but we're not done yet. There's still so much restoration that needs to happen in order to really, get to kind of the end goal of this. I want to kind of take our scientist hats off and think about what people in general think of what's happening in the Klamath. They don't have the same input that we do, the same information. The emotions and opinions seem to be on both sides, way over here. And it's something that I think we need to just remember. The river isn't dead, and we can't check off the success mark just yet. It's going to take time. Generations of salmon before we know how well things are going. So just remember that kind of nuance in the conversations that you have. in all the planning, all the models, we expected some of these, harms that happened this year in terms of sediment, fish dying from that, dissolved oxygen crashes. Those are real. They're not necessarily surprises. Anyone who's really been paying attention and involved, they know these things were expected. So, you see that in the news, and it's like, well, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. It was all in the permits. It's all taken care of. We knew. The turbidity graph for right below Iron Gate is, this is from the Crook Tribe's real-time website. It's a really great resource. We see just these huge pulses of turbidity, again, as expected. That resulted in some dissolved oxygen crashes that were short-term, but, literally bringing dissolved oxygen to zero. So things that are, hard to see. But the good news in all this is that they're short-lived. And then if we go downstream a bit to Walker Bridge, dissolved oxygen during the initial drawdown definitely crashed to zero. But it was, again, fairly short period of time. And then when we had the cofferdam removal and some of the other activities, again, the dissolved oxygen really didn't get that bad, just downstream. So it's really the reach right below Iron Gate that was really the most affected. Getting back to what I was saying about the public, I think, we do our science in a way we want to focus on the data, getting the best data, being impartial. And I think, it's designed that we're funded to help answer questions related to resource management, dam removal, everything that's very scientific focused. And I don't think many of us really have a lot of funding to help convey that information to the public in ways that are simplified and easier to understand and, public facing. And I know that's a challenge. It will always probably be a challenge. And there's some good examples of things like the Crook Tribe's real-time website. That is a great way to do it. But there's also a lot of other information and data that's collected that is buried in reports, deep in appendices, or it's on, someone's hard drive at work and it's not out there. And so, as much as we can try to get that information out into the public, convey it ourselves in, again, more simplified terms. And really, I want it to be a challenge to each of you to try to get information and scientific information and data out there in ways that the public can kind of understand and help not be just on each end of the spectrum of opinions, because there's nuance to all this. And, it is important to follow the science in order to really then form your opinion. So that might be a tall ask, but I really want it to be, a real challenge. And I think if KBMP can help you with that, with getting information out there, I'm willing to try. So please be in touch. We'll see what we can do to help, for those who want to listen to what the science says, hopefully we can get information to them so they can hear it. So with that, again, want to thank Southern Oregon University and Chaya for helping us be here. And let's get to our first speaker.